Patient, understanding, and led with an open mind, it's hard to believe that the INFJ personality type actually gets annoyed quite easily, although they would never show it and often take extra steps to hide it. There's plenty of eye rolls, sighs, and questioning that comes with the experience playing human. Welcome or welcome back, psychos. Before we get into it, we'd love it if you liked and subscribed to our channel, as well as to click the post notification bell so you never miss a video. Alright, let's get right into it, starting with Number 1. Humanity's continuous lack of common sense. Among all the pet peeves and annoyance the INFJ experiences on a day-to-day basis, there's nothing quite like the cringe and disappointment of humanity that comes with a lack of common sense from their fellow earthlings. Whether it's a lack of street smarts, basic logic, unspoken manners, or the inability to compose oneself, INFJs can become seriously annoyed when they witness another human struggling to be a decent member of society. With that all being said, there's one aspect of common sense that INFJs can never wrap their heads around. One that gets on their nerves every time, and that's the lack of empathy. To the overly empathetic INFJ, basic compassion and sympathy is a basic ground rule of being human. Basic empathy is the foreground for which all other common sense stems from, and when they can sense its absence from another soul, it can certainly trigger their annoyance radar. Number 2. They often experience sensory overload. It takes a certain type of external equilibrium for them to stay focused and present. Therefore, when things are rather chaotic, overwhelming, or overstimulating, INFJs can quickly become annoyed. Whether it's heavy traffic distracting them from a pleasant drive, the emotional intensity of someone in a group of people, that unexpected hug or hand on their shoulder from someone they hardly know, or simply the hustle and bustle of a busy crowd while they're trying to do their errands. INFJs can easily become concentrated on the exact opposite things they should be concentrating on. This overstimulation is not only annoying, but can also hold them back from enjoying life's simple pleasures as well as their capability for success. And unfortunately, no matter how hard they try to ignore the external chatter, it usually takes the act of them completely exiting the ruckus in order to calibrate their focus and then process all the information they've absorbed. Number 3. They're not themselves without their required rest and relaxation. Speaking of sensory overload, there is no place to retreat to than their private, comfy solitude. In fact, the INFJ personality type requires so much time of rest, recharge, reflection, and relaxation that it can be difficult for them to maintain certain social connections. This is because without the necessary time to restore their mental and emotional equilibrium, the INFJ can become extremely irritable. Whether it's an overgiving situation at a workplace, within a relationship, or simply due to the fact that the people-pleasing INFJ has a habit of taking on more than they can chew. When they're on the fast track to destination burnout, they can become annoyed by the littlest of things. When they ignore their need for recalibration, their normally calm and collected aura can become just as chaotic and disorganized as their surroundings or obligations. Luckily, with the preference of spending quality time with no one other than themselves, their short social battery life isn't as difficult to navigate as some would think. In fact, this need for ample alone time only requires a few small changes to their lifestyle, which becomes easier to adopt over time. Number 4. Their perfectionistic nature can get the best of them. Known as the mediator of not only relational conflicts, but also their own internal emotions and external environments, INFJs thrive on balance. Rooted in their perfectionistic nature, this personality type feels most like themselves when everything around them and within them is in perfect sequence. Yet, of course, life doesn't always go as planned, and while some personality types can easily go with the flow, INFJs can end up feeling these subtle changes to their plans quite intensely. No matter how big or small the task, the INFJ type finds themselves anxious about the potential outcome, especially when that outcome entirely depends on their capabilities. With this perfectionism, The INFJ tends to paint rather idealistic pictures of their future and the outcomes of their input. And while maintaining that vision can certainly help them with their achievements, they can end up backpedaling when things don't go as planned. In fact, some people with this idealistic personality type would claim that this may be the most annoying aspect of their perfectionistic ways. Number 5. When they're distracted from focusing inward. Using their idealistic future projections as an example, the imaginative and intuitive INFJ personality type spends a lot of time in their own minds. With such complexity, creativity, and resourcefulness, there's no doubt that anyone would enjoy the experience of living in the mind of an INFJ for a day. While it can certainly be chaotic and even annoying in itself at times, their imaginative minds are filled with fantasies, introspective insights, and psychic-like visions that make it enticing for the INFJ to visit for most of their waking hours. However, that's not to say it doesn't take a good amount of internal focus in order for them to happily drift off to dreamland. And so, sometimes, the very experience of living as a human with the expectations of stepping down from their internal world to interact with the external world can be enough to annoy them. And unfortunately for them, without resorting to complete anti-socialism, which is definitely tempting at times, the INFJ must find a balance between absorbing information through the external environments and the internal processing of that information without being annoyed by it. Number 6. When they struggle to explain themselves clearly. With such complexity and the experience of living life as one of the rarest personality types, the INFJ often feels misunderstood in their day-to-day life. And while that's a fact that they usually get used to over time, it's not to say that there aren't moments where they still become overly annoyed at that reality. Whether it's trying to explain the feelings they're experiencing through their extroverted feeling function, their intuitive insights on the future, their taboo interests and beliefs, their oversensitivity to certain environments, or simply their preference for living life on the fringes of society, INFJs can have a hard time articulating their thoughts and beliefs for the understanding of the average person. In fact, most thoughts the INFJ comes up with require a good amount of rumination for themselves to even understand, never mind making it palatable enough for others to remotely digest. However, no matter how annoying the struggle of explaining themselves can get, there's nothing more annoying than being understood when they do try and explain. So, sometimes it's easiest for them to keep it to themselves. Number 7. Having to focus on the small details. INFJs are naturally big picture thinkers. They use their external sensing and feeling functions to absorb details from their surroundings without even realizing it, in order to utilize their introverted intuition and thinking functions to their fullest abilities. This is the innate order of the INFJ's brain, and the process in which they're able to experience their keen strategizing, visionary thinking, and problem-solving skills. However, sometimes their responsibilities require a different type of mental approach, one that requires a focus on the minute details of the situation or task. When they're pulled from their comfortable ways of thinking through processing small details, routine maintenance, or taking small baby steps to achieve their big picture projection, INFJs can become easily annoyed. And while they may be good at it due to their ability to deeply observe and catch the specific factors that others often overlook, when they're forced to analyze for too long, their irritability can get the best of them. And lastly, number 8. Witnessing attention-seeking behavior everywhere they go. While equality and the acknowledgement of one's own ego may be considered a basic practice of common sense to the INFJ, it's fair to say that it's far from that of so-called attention-seeking individuals. While the INFJ themselves prefers to be on the complete opposite side of the spectrum, taking specific measures to remain behind the curtains of their accomplishments and away from the spotlight, INFJs can understand the motive of wanting recognition for one's work. However, when it comes to taking control of every conversation, using fakery for the sake of power, fishing for compliments, provoking unnecessary agreements, constantly maintaining a theatrical presence, and even some forms of promiscuity, INFJs can't help but to feel annoyed. While they may understand the underlying reasons for one's attention-seeking behavior and may even have an inward sense of sympathy for that person, they can't help but to give that person a special form of the INFJ stare, backed by a continuous internal eye roll. Well, psychos, that's it for today. So, would you consider yourself easily annoyed as an INFJ personality type? Let us know in the comments below. Also, make sure to leave us a like, share with your friends, and also subscribe to our channel so that you never miss a video.